Joining me live, Wing Commander Anil Goyal. He's a pilot and an aviation specialist. He's flown civil airliners as well. Surjit Singh Panesar is a former director of flight safety and training. He's also a well-known Indian aviation expert. Thanks to both of you for being with me as we, report this very troubling story, because this is a big airport. This is not an obscure airport, busy airport, very, very qualified, very, very, experienced in terms of handling a lot of aircraft on a daily basis. Wing Commander Goyal, if I could bring you in first, the pictures and the reports coming in from Japan clearly show that this was a Japan Airlines aircraft that was landing, and there is a huge fireball as soon as it touches down, where it appears to have collided with that Japan Coast Guard aircraft. In your view, first impressions, what may have gone wrong, sir? Wing Commander Goyal.
Sir, obviously, it is a case of mid-air collision when the aircraft is coming for an approach and other aircraft which has inadvertently entered into the runway or is taxiing without the knowledge of the air traffic control. So when the aircraft is on approach, it is almost traveling at 200, 250 kilometers per hour. At such high speeds, if it contacts any of the stationary obstruction, it is obviously going to be a catastrophe thereafter. The situation thereafter must have evolved very fast, but I'm very glad that the crew, that is pilots and the cabin crew, have reacted very well, and they have been able to extricate all the passengers as well as their own self and evacuating the aircraft in time. Also, the ATC has done a tremendous job. They must have, the firefighting services must have reached there and helped the passengers in evacuation process. Though there is some kind of mistake which has happened, which has led to this accident. See, always an accident is a cause of concern.
Yes.
So there is some, as we know, there is some emergency activity going on in Japan after the earthquake. They are trying to help their own civilians which have been affected because of the earthquake. So civil aviation or the aircrafts are the easiest ways to reach or to make the supply reach the people who are stuck. So that's why the air activity must have increased in that area. So there could have been a loss of coordination between the rescue agencies which are taking part in after the earthquake and the civil aerodrome, which is also must be cooperating in these aspects. So there is some loss of coordination which could have taken place because of the increased activity, I guess. So could have resulted in this mishap, I think so.
While acknowledging that this is an extremely difficult job, and not for a moment will I sit here and cast judgment on what is, definitely a very, very high pressure job, with so many moving parts, constant real-time decision making, and a huge amount of stress on air traffic controllers and pilots. So let me make it very clear here in India today that we are not here to point fingers at anyone. We're only trying to understand what may have gone wrong so our viewers understand it a little better, because let's be clear, this could easily have been a mass casualty incident. Those people on board that aircraft could have easily died. If it had been slightly worse and not for a miracle, many, many people could have lost their lives. So let's be very clear, this is not a small incident. It is an extremely, extremely serious one. Air traffic control, airports like Haneda are equipped for high-stress situations, high-traffic situations, being able to turn around aircraft at very, very short notice in emergency situations like earthquakes or tsunamis. And therefore, it is even more imperative to understand what may have gone wrong. Mr. Panesar, the investigation will finally reveal what went wrong. But your first impression, sir, do you also concur that obviously there has been some kind of a coordination error, because an aircraft on the tarmac while another aircraft is landing is recipe for disaster?
Well, I agree with you. It's a very serious incident. And we are grateful to God Almighty that all 379 passengers are safe, along with the pilots also. There have been many warnings due tsunami also. Now this is brand new Airbus A350 which is launched recently. I'm sure it is capable of going around even from 50 feet from ground level. It could be why the ATC did not warn the small aircraft and this pilot to go down. Only the investigation and the DFDR, and since the pilots are alive, all these factors will reveal the exact cause of this crash. It's a very serious incident, and many agencies will be questioned. Air traffic control, ground support, pilots, everybody will be questioned, and the Airbus industry will also intervene whether there was any engine fell off. And we are grateful to the crew members who saved all the 379 passengers. I credit must go to all the crew members who are saved, and the ground support which has saved 379. Such a catastrophe, it is not believed that nobody died and all that. It's a great job done by everybody in this crash. Only we can give more comments after we hear something from the investigators, what was the real cause and what air traffic control was doing. Why they did not warn the small Coast Guard aircraft or the Airbus 350. This aircraft could have go around even from 50 feet of the ground level. Why has not gone around? All these factors we don't know as yet. This only the investigation will reveal the factors.
You're right. There are many questions that not only experts will be asking, but also passengers and the public, would like to know, because something like this will instill a sense of risk and a sense of, trouble in the minds of air passengers, because they travel in the hope that such things are catered for and that you can place trust in experts. But let it not be said that people who are handling this were not experts. They were all experts. Accidents can most definitely happen. There is no question of accidents not happening. They will happen, even at the best of times. But the question now is to get into the meat of the investigation to find out what may have happened. Mr. Panesar and Wing Commander Goyal, I'm coming back to you. I just wanted to show our viewers the images, because it is the images captured of this incident that have truly horrified people all across the world. It's the big trending story all across the world. You're probably wondering why here in India we're reporting an aviation incident in Japan, and that's because we all fly, we all take flights, we sometimes travel to international destinations. I have landed at the Haneda airport a number of times. Mr. Panesar, you wanted to add something to our understanding of what may have gone wrong and the investigation. Go ahead, sir.
You see, I'm shocked to know the Haneda airport has got ground radars. They know the movement of all the aircraft on ground. Even people walking on the runway or any truck or jeep on the runway can be noticed by the ATC. Why the pilot of Airbus was not informed to go down, and why the aircraft on ground, Coast Guard aircraft was not warned to leave the runway immediately. All these factors we can only imagine now, but only the investigation will come out, and since the pilots are alive, this is a big gift for investigators to know what is the reason. And now the Airbus industry
Goyal, would you like to address that question? Could you throw some light on that? How could the pilot not know? How could the ground radars not have warned the pilot? Was nobody speaking to the pilot of the Coast Guard aircraft? How does all this, come together, sir?
Sir, I know when pilot is landing, his main attention is on the runway. He doesn't look at the side of the buildings and other aircraft taxiing on the taxiways.
And also he trusts the air traffic control. It's not just about eyesight. It's also about the instruments, and it's about the air traffic control. Wing Commander Goyal, would you like to address that? Final comment.
Air traffic control has the ground radar.
Sir, let Wing Commander Goyal answer, sir.
Sir, when the aircraft is on approach, there are two pilots who are actually monitoring the airspace around it. And the pilots are concentrating on the instruments as well as on the runway, so that they are sure that the area is clear and they are following the correct approach path for the landing. So sometimes it happens that the aircrafts are handled by different agencies. On approach, it is handled by the tower control, but while you are taxiing on the ground, you are handled by a ground control. There are different sensors available to the air traffic control to know the exact position of the aircraft. But these displays are with different controllers. So there has to be a coordination between the two controllers, which is the air traffic control, which is the tower control, as well as the ground control, which has to be coordinated in a perfect manner. Because there is already an emergency in Japan, I can understand that the pressures would have been very high. They could have been under pressure to launch the Coast Guard aircraft at the earliest, or clear the movement of that aircraft earliest to save lives somewhere else. So the pressures are already very high. So it's very natural that human mistakes can be done in such an, despite the technology being available, these mistakes can happen and do happen. But the best part about the aviation is we always learn from our accidents and incidents and make the procedures even more perfect. Today, the civil aviation is the preferred mode of transport for traveling international, as well as it is the safest mode of transport as compared to the road or as compared to the water also. So these are the reasons that the civil aviation is the most safest way, because of technology, because of training, and because of regulations. I am very sure the reasons will come out, and we will become stronger from this incident, and we will be able to achieve no fatalities. That is the goal of the ICAO in year 2025.
A much safer year. Japan has had a very troubling start to 2024. And I once again want to thank both our guests by saying that we do not cast judgment. Accidents can happen. The question is trying to figure out precisely what went wrong and ensuring it doesn't ever happen again. Wing Commander Goyal, Mr. Panesar, thank you very much for joining me here. But I want to show our viewers just a graphical representation, because the video doesn't show you everything. But just to simplify things a little bit, this is basically what actually happened. The Japan Airlines aircraft came landing down, high-speed landing. This was the Coast Guard aircraft that was on the tarmac. It collides right into it. It doesn't stop, of course. It goes hurtling down the runway, and then 5 people died on board this aircraft, but all 379 on board the A350 miraculously managed to survive. Our deepest condolences to the families of the Japan Coast Guard